Hey guys, so I kind of wanted to make a video about this because I've talked about it like off and on stream for a long time, and it's something that like I've noticed, and I think probably anybody who's played Vi has noticed since for as long as I've ever played the character. And it's something that I talked about a little bit on Twitter, maybe a few times as well, but never like I was a little confused about what it was exactly that was the issue for a while. Wasn't exactly sure what was causing it, and when I tried to like explain to people what the issue is, it's kind of hard to get it across, perfectly as well. So I want to make a video that kind of goes over everything that you need to know, like what the issue is and how it happens and everything. And there's kind of two different issues here. So the first issue is when you ulti somebody as Vi, they become, airborne, right? They get knocked up. But while she's ulting them, she's also CC'd as well. Like, I can't do any movement here or put any inputs or anything because I'm CC'd. They're CC'd, but I'm also CC'd. So that's kind of how the Vi ultimate works. You put yourself into some kind of crowd control while you're crowd controlling other people. But one of the mechanics for it is your crowd control is supposed to end a quarter of a second sooner than their crowd control. That's how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to, like, let's say, knock them up for, 2 seconds while you're knocked up, or you're CC'd for 1.75 seconds. That way, as you come out of the Vi ulti, you get a guaranteed auto on them, or a guaranteed Q on them, or if your attack speed's high, maybe 2 autos on them. They can't just flash away immediately or whatever. But the problem is, this doesn't really work perfectly. Sometimes I don't even have time to auto people one time. Sometimes I try to queue somebody immediately out of ulti, and they've already flashed away before I can even queue, you know what I mean? It can vary a lot. And then, so I'll just go over that. So what's happening is, and I don't know the exact cause, but it's definitely an error. And I went over this before, and I have, this whole big image describing the issue with all these different tests and everything. And now I'm just going over it again, and it's easy to spot. It's easy to find. If you play a random game of League of Legends, you'll encounter it, almost guaranteed. It happens, well, a quarter of the time or whatever, I would say, at least. Or, all the time, depending on how you put it. Now, the issues that's happening is the amount of frames, or the duration of time, same thing really, between, like, before your unstoppable effect and their airborne effect goes away or whatever, isn't always the same. I tested it out like a bunch of times, and I had it to where, like, sometimes I'll just get like, look, here it ends at 13:25. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 frames between, like, of them being, CC'd while you're not CC'd. But other times in my tests, I had it be, 10 or 11 or 12 or 13 or 9 or, 8. I think I even had it like a 6 frames one time. 6 frames. And you might be saying, oh, well, that's just frames. Your FPS might vary. But no, you can put it on time instead and look at time, the physical time that went by as well, if you don't think that the frames are consistent or whatever in their duration, because they aren't. They can vary very slightly. My FPS is like going up and down a little bit sometimes or whatever. It might dip or go up. It's not perfect. Unless you're playing with VSync or something, maybe it's perfect. I don't know. But no, it's totally inconsistent. And I looked at it, and if I can pull up this image here, the amount it varied was huge, enormous. Like, most of the time, I think it was around 0.233 seconds, which is a little less than it's supposed to be, but that's how, it makes sense. It's almost 0.25. That's how much it was normally. Sometimes it would be 0.25, but I think almost, or like probably like 60% of the time, 70% of the time, it was 0.20 or 0.233 seconds. But other times it was 0.1 seconds, 0.15 seconds, 0.12 seconds. And now if you look at how long it takes to do an auto attack, or how long it takes to like instantly do a Q or whatever like that, it definitely takes, a tenth of a second, a 0.15th of a second, or a 0.2, a fifth of a second, right? So when you're vialting somebody and you're like trying to cue them instantly or whatever, and they just flash away or just Zanya randomly or whatever, or you're trying to auto attack them, you just like they're one auto from dying, you go to right click them to auto them as they're getting a vialty, and they just flash away or just turn around and kill you before you can even do it. When you're having that happen, and it just feels so bad, it feels horrible, it feels like you just got cheated completely by the game. Sometimes, or maybe a lot of those times, it's not a mistake from you. You didn't right click them too slowly or whatever. The game just literally bugged, and it just does it constantly. Like if you just test this over and over and over and look at the number of frames, I'm using Tracker. I use this for some physics courses or whatever. I'm not using any of the physics, tracking elements, but it just makes sense because it can do time and frames really well. And I didn't have anything else to do that with. You can easily see just how not functional it is. Like imagine if you had like a character who does like a combo where like you Q and then it does like a 1 second stun, and then during that 1 second you can like WE or whatever, and like 30% of the time you only have time for a Q and a W, and 30% of the time you have time for a QWE, and 30% of the time you have only time for Q, and then you can't even cast W before they can join. Like, would you play that character? Because like you'd be insane to play that character, right? Like you'd be crazy. It's just ridiculously troll. Like here you can see, how much it varies and everything. I thought it might be some of the other things, so I tested all these other elements of vialty and found that they don't vary very much, or they vary like almost not at all. But this element varies like wildly. It can vary an extreme amount. So that's the biggest problem with vialty, and I've experienced this forever. Trust me, I was crying about this to myself in my room 6 years ago, 5 years ago, you know what I mean? When I first started playing the character. So that's one of the big issues with vialty. Now, another issue that you might have noticed as well, and maybe you haven't, is the distance at which Vi will enter the ultimate, CC animation from her target can also vary wildly. Like sometimes you vialed and your character will not, you'll see, it's really easy to see. Right here is where Vi started doing the knock-up animation, right? Like you had to be like inside the target before it even started. Look at how close I was to the target. You can see like it's ridiculous. I'm literally like, this is so annoying. I'm literally inside the target before the animation starts. The little like blue dot, like the blue shine thing, the spark that appears is where your ultimate started the animation. But look at some of these other ones. Like, and the distance, I think I've tried so much different things to try to pin this down. It's really hard to tell how exactly it's determined, honestly. Like, and if anyone can figure it out, like props to you, because I was trying all sorts of things like right clicking while in ulti, 8-clicking while in ulti, right clicking before casting ulti, turning on like movement prediction, trying different like distances, trying different, like here, look at where the blue spark, or sorry, it's not this blue spark. This always appears. I'm talking about the blue spark that appears on the floor where Vi starts her animation. Here, like for example, I'm already like a tiny bit away from them, but like some of them are pretty insane. Like okay, it's this one that you're looking for. But here, like check this out. I tried a lot of testing with this, and I saw some really ridiculous ones. You can get it to really vary quite a lot, like how far you are before it starts. Like look how far away this is. It's so far away from the target dummy. It's ridiculous. But like if you really play around with this a lot, like you can easily do this like a ton of times and get it to where like you'll see occasions where this thing, like the animation starts and you're like all the way over here, like you vialty from here or from here or whatever, and it just starts the knock up instantly. And this is really huge because like sometimes, let's say you want to vialty somebody and you want them to not have time to react, like not be able to flash away and dash away and cast Zanyas and cast stopwatch and cast Fizzy and all this crap or whatever. Like sometimes they'll have no time to react at all. It'll just go on them instantly, like just instantly. Like it's huge. It's just they don't even have a chance. you're like not even close to them yet and you start knocking them up. But other times your character like really has to go inside of them. They have your character literally has to go like inside their character and like fucking merge with their character before starting her ulti animation. So it's really, really, really inconsistent. And I think in my experience, more or less, I think there's like a kind of sweet spot, which is not quite in melee range, but not too far away, but just like in this little radius outside of them where it will ulti, you will start the animation faster, but it's really unreliable. And like, it's just this weird thing where like, sometimes I'm like, I think I can get an ulti on them here without them even being able to do anything about it, but I maybe I can't. Like, it's this one here, by the way. Like, this is what you're looking for. Now, I could have done this twice. Like, I could have done this exact same ultimate twice and had it either start the animation here, or I could have just randomly done it again and had the animation start right here. This, like, you know, 10th of a second difference, honestly. Like, 15, like, 0.15 of a second difference in how close I am to them before the animation starts. It's huge. It's enormous. Because the amount of time they have to react, you know, 0.15 seconds less is enormous. Like this guy, if he's, let's say this is a Fizz in a real game, if it starts here, he's not going to press E quickly enough. He's just going to be like, oh, fuck, damn it, I didn't press E quickly enough. But like, let's say if the animation start till here, he'll be in E and have dodged my ultimate and just kill me and I'll look like the biggest idiot of all time. You know what I mean? And this like variance on how close you are to them before the animation starts is just game changing. So that's the two weird things with Vi Ultimate that I've experienced just forever, but I've never seen really anyone talk about it. And I wanted to make a video about it because I think like it's pretty interesting, and it'd be interesting to see people, you know, try to figure out, you know, if there's any way you can control this stuff. And, you know, I mean, realistically, it should just be fixed. Like, we shouldn't have a character where like, look at this, you know, look, this is the spark that plays when you're, it's like on top of the target dummy. Like, why do I have to wait like so much longer? Like, it could literally be all the way over here, right? So yeah, I hope you guys find this interesting. It's kind of in depth, but I know there's like a couple of viewers for sure that are super hardcore about Vi and they would love to see this. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.